The Threads of Fate by L.S. Larkey and Atlantean Astrology, a 5-part series. Chapter 1. Whispers of the Castle. In a distant land, long forgotten by the tongues of men, there stood a castle, perched high upon cliffs overlooking an endless expanse of misty valleys. This castle, with its towering spires and labyrinthine halls, was not like any other. Its stones were old, far older than the kingdom that once ruled from its heights, and there was something ancient, something alive within its walls. The boy who lived within the castle knew no other home. To him, the creaking of the floorboards, the soft murmur of the wind through the arched windows, and the shadows that danced in the firelight were as familiar as the beating of his own heart. He was alone in the great fortress, save for the objects that surrounded him, his clothes, his furniture, his luggage. These things had been with him as long as he could remember. They were more than mere possessions. They were, in some strange way, alive. On quiet nights, when the mist outside thickened and the world seemed to vanish beyond the castle walls, the boy would lie awake, listening. It was during these moments that the whispers came. They were faint at first, like the rustling of leaves in the distance. But as the boy grew older, the voices became clearer. They were not the voices of people, but of things, things that should not speak, but did. The boy never questioned the castle's strangeness. To him, it was normal that the wardrobe in his room would creak open of its own accord when he needed clothes, or that the chair by the fire would shift slightly to offer him a more comfortable seat. The luggage at the foot of his bed would sometimes roll toward him, as though eager to be packed for a journey that never came. It wasn't until his 12th year that the boy began to notice something more, something deeper. There was a presence in the castle, one that seemed to watch him, to guide him, though it never revealed itself fully. And as the days grew shorter and the nights longer, the whispers became more insistent, as though the castle itself had secrets it wished to share. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains and the sky darkened to a deep indigo, the boy stood at the window of his room, staring out into the fog. The wind howled outside, its mournful cry echoing through the empty corridors. He had always felt safe within the walls of the castle, but tonight there was an unsettling energy in the air, something that prickled at the edges of his awareness. He turned from the window, his eyes drawn to the wardrobe at the far end of the room. It stood tall and imposing, its dark wood gleaming faintly in the dim light of the fire. For as long as he could remember, that wardrobe had been a silent companion, always there, always open when he needed it. But tonight, it was different. The doors were closed, and a strange light seemed to pulse from within, casting eerie shadows on the floor. The boy hesitated. He had never feared the wardrobe before, but now something about it unnerved him. The light was not natural, not like the warm glow of the fire. It was cold, almost otherworldly, and it called to him, beckoning him closer. Slowly he crossed the room, his heart pounding in his chest. As he reached the wardrobe, the light flickered and dimmed, as though it sensed his approach. He placed his hand on the cool wood, feeling the thrum of energy beneath his palm. Then, with a soft creak, the doors swung open. Inside, hanging among his ordinary clothes, was a garment unlike any he had ever seen. It shimmered with a soft, ethereal glow, its fabric delicate yet impossibly strong. Threads of silver and gold intertwined along its seams, and as the boy reached out to touch it, a warmth spread through his hand, traveling up his arm and into his chest. Suddenly, the room seemed to tilt, and the boy staggered back, his vision swimming. The air grew thick, heavy with the weight of something ancient and powerful. He blinked, trying to steady himself, but the world around him had changed. The walls of the castle seemed to fade away, replaced by shadows and mist, and in the distance he could hear the faint murmur of voices, whispers, soft and insistent. "You have found the first," a voice said, though it was not a voice he recognized. It was deep, resonant, as though it came from the very stones of the castle itself. I was once whole, but now I am scattered. A piece of me remains in every corner of this place, waiting to be found. The boy's heart raced. He tried to speak, but no words came. The voice continued, its tone both sorrowful and commanding. This is no ordinary garment. In each thread there lies a fragment of a soul that once was whole but now lies in pieces. To understand, you must find them all. Only then will the truth be revealed. The boy stared at the glowing garment, his mind reeling. A soul? Threads? The words made no sense, and yet, deep within him, he felt a flicker of recognition, as though some part of him had always known that the castle, the objects, the whispers were all connected to something far greater than he could comprehend. The light around the garment began to fade, and the boy found himself standing once more in his room, the warmth of the fire on his skin. The wardrobe was closed, the strange garment hidden from view, but the words of the voice echoed in his mind. A soul scattered and hidden within the castle, pieces of a life woven into the very fabric of the things he had taken for granted. The boy's thoughts raced as he tried to make sense of it all. Could it be true? Could the enchanted objects that filled the castle, the luggage, the clothes, the furniture, hold fragments of something or someone? He turned and looked around the room, his eyes falling on the familiar objects that had always been there, comforting him in their quiet, mysterious way. But now they seemed different, alive in a way he had never fully understood before. One thing was certain. The boy could no longer ignore the whispers, the magic that surrounded him. He had to find the rest of the threads, to piece together the mystery of the castle and the soul that had been scattered within it. And so, with a deep breath and a heart full of questions, he took his first step on a journey that would lead him to the farthest corners of the castle and to the deepest corners of his own soul.